So this is going to be a video on section 9.4, which is all about working with formulas. So this is going to be very, very similar to the solving linear equations that we looked at last week. Just when we're working with formulas, it's all about manipulating the formulas and not necessarily coming up with a number answer. And you'll see what I'm talking about as we move through this. So to begin with, we just need to understand the definition that formulas are general rules or principles stated mathematically. Okay, so we can look at some of these formulas. So the formula D equals RT. Well, that is um yeah, so this formula, okay, so we can say the formula is s- mm, solved for D in terms of R and T. So the formula A equals 1/2 times B times H is solved for um, A in terms of B and H. The formula P is equal to R minus C is solved for P in terms of R and C. Okay? So when we're looking at solving formulas or manipulating formulas so that they are represented in different formats, okay? We start out with this formula. This is the formula for simple interest. Interest, or I, okay, is equal to P times R times T. So I is the interest, P is the principal, R is the percentage rate, and T is time. Okay? So what we can also do, before we get into this example. So this right here is solved for I in terms of P, R, and T. Okay? So if we wanted to, say we wanted the formula for the principal, okay? So this one we want solved for P in terms of I, R, and T. Well, we're going to start out with I is equal to P times R times T. And we want P all by itself. Our goal is to figure out what this is with P all by itself. Well, recall that the inverse operation of multiplication is division. So how about if I divide both sides by R times T, because that's what I need to pull away from the P. And so this solved for P in terms of I, R, and T would be P is equal to I over RT. And likewise, we can solve for the rate. So the rate, again, we start out with I is equal to PRT. And this time, we want the rate to be all by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by P and T, which gives us R is equal to I over P times T. Okay, and we can do something similar with time. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time doing that because it's just the same thing. We're just isolating that variable. So let's move on to an example here. Okay, so Maribel loaned $5,000 to a friend for 3 months at an annual interest rate of 8%. How much will her friend pay her at the end of the 3 months? Now, something very significant is that this is an annual interest rate, and this is 3 months. So, the principal is the initial amount. So, 5,000. The rate is 8%. And we convert that into a decimal. So we move the decimal place 2 places to the left. Now, time, because that's an annual percentage rate, the time needs to be in terms of years, which means that our time is actually going to be 3 over 12. Now, something that we need to remember is that when we're thinking about how much we have to pay back, your payback amount is going to be your principal plus any interest that's accrued. So the first thing that we need to do is figure out how much interest, because we know what the principal is. The principal's 5,000. So in order to figure out the interest, it is principal times the interest rate times time. Okay? And you pull out your handy calculator and figure out the total on that. So, that would be a total of $100 in interest. So that means that the total amount the friend is going to have to pay back is going to be $5,100. Now pause for a moment and let me know in the comments if you have any questions at this point. Okay, so converting temperatures. Well, if we want to calculate the temperature in Celsius, if the temperature in Fahrenheit is 212 degrees, we can use this formula here, okay? And we just do 5/9 times 212 minus 32. And we get that this is the same as 100 degrees Celsius. So take a moment. I have the formula here. If Celsius is equal to 20 degrees, find Fahrenheit. So you're going to do 9/5 times 20 and then add 32 to it. And if it's 20 degrees Celsius, it is 68 degrees Fahrenheit. All right. Now, perimeter of a triangle. So we need to recall, if we have a triangle, okay, perimeter is the sum of all of the sides. Well, one of our sides is 5 feet, and the other one is 18 feet. And we don't know what this is, but we know that the total is 38. So take a minute and see if you can figure out that third side. And hopefully you've come up with that third side is 15 feet. Labels are important, everyone. Okay? All right, so I'm going to pause here, and in the next video, we're going to come back and look at solving these variables for specific other variables.